This is Andrew Ravens, July 21st, 2016, for the Raven Sports Take podcast. And we got a little preview, little predictions going on today. We're going to kick things off with the UFC on Fox 20 card. Then we'll go into some WWE Battleground predictions, a little preview. And that is the rundown for this podcast today. So let's get into it. UFC on Fox 20. I really like this card. It takes place this Saturday night. Airs on Fox, of course, from Chicago, Illinois, at the United Center. You got a 4-bout main card, a 4-bout prelim card on FS1, and then a 4-bout main prelim card on UFC Fight Pass. It's a fun card. I love Fox broadcasts just because they're in the afternoon. They run by really fast, and I'm not in the office until 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. So I'm really looking forward to this fight card. One fight that really stands out to me on the prelims card is Eddie Wineland and Frankie Saenz. And currently, Wineland is a minus 220 favorite over Saenz, who's a plus 180 favorite, or an underdog, excuse me. That should be a really, really fun fight. The main card kicks off with Callan Curran and Felice Herring. Currently, Curran is a minus 190 favorite over the underdog Herring, who's a plus 165. And that kind of surprises me. Herring has, she's kind of stumbled in her last couple bouts. But I think this is going to be an extremely fun fight to kick off the main card. Then your next bout is Bohana Mahavajuk and Francis Ngannou. And Ngannou is that big, enormous African-American, and this is actually kind of surprising. He's only a minus 175 favorite over his opponent, who's a plus 155er. Ngannou, he has just insanely amount of power, not only in his hands, but the guy is so strong. He'll throw you around, he can knock you out, he can put you on your back. And as you can see, his first fight was the very first prelim fight on an event a couple months ago. Then they moved him up to the Fox Sports 1 prelim card, and now they're moving him up to the main card on Big Fox. And I don't know if it's necessarily because of the lack of depth in this card, because there are a few notable fighters, but there's not a lot. Main event is really selling. That, and the co-main event will really be selling this card to normal fight fans, not just the diehards. But Ngannou, he's just a beast, and I'm a little surprised by that betting odd, but I see him just getting a first-round KO. And then in the co-main event is very, very interesting. You have Gilbert Melendez taking on Edson Barboza in a lightweight bout in the co-main event. Melendez has been out since UFC 188. He last fought against Eddie Alvarez, who's currently the UFC light heavyweight champion. That was a close fight, and Melendez, he got the USADA suspension. He was out for a year. He did his damage. He's back now. Can he reclaim his glory? Can he do what he did when he was in Strikeforce? He hasn't really shown that necessarily in the UFC. Some could say that he's on the downslide of his career. Barboza is just a lethal fighter. He has hands. He has some devastating kicks. He has some good jiu-jitsu. I see this just being not only the fight of the night, but just a war. I think these guys are going to come out, stand toe-to-toe in the center of the octagon, and just throw haymakers. If you've seen the Gilbert Melendez Diego Sanchez fight, that's exactly what happened. This is going to be an insane fight. I do see Melendez earning a decision victory, but I think it's going to be a split decision. So it could go either way. I just think Melendez has more experience inside the cage, and I just think he's a better overall fighter, especially if it goes to the ground. And then in the main event, it's going to be killer. It's a 5-round bantamweight bout between Valentino Shevchenko and former UFC women's bantamweight champion Mrs. Holly Holm. Both fighters are known for their kickboxing and striking and technique and just God great on the feet. Sometimes in these fights, stand-up fighters, they want to go to the ground because they don't want to challenge themselves, or they think that they can out-wrestle the other one. Shevchenko might do that in this fight, and I hope she doesn't. Holm has a very, very good takedown defense. It's very difficult to take her to the ground, and her movement is just, look at the Ronda Rousey fight. Holm was there, Rousey would strike, Holm would be gone. So her technique, her footwork, just her movement inside the octagon is going to be a very difficult challenge for Shevchenko to overcome. Not only that, but then Holm's kickboxing and the way that she throws her strikes and technique, the patterns that she throws, her combos, and especially her left jab, that's going to be tough for Shevchenko. Currently, Holm is a $145 underdog against Shevchenko, who's a 1-65 favorite, which is very surprising to me. I don't know if people are doubting Holm since the Miesha Tate loss back at UFC 196, which she lost by fifth round rear naked choke and lost the title. I was not very high on Holly Holm until the Ronda Rousey fight. Maybe that's what other people are thinking, but I'm a little surprised that Holm is an underdog going in this fight. I think Holm gets it done with a decision. I think it'll be a 5-round just beat down by Holm. And we'll see what happens, but that's for UFC on Fox 20. Switching gears now, we're going to go into a little pro wrestling talk. The WWE Battleground pay-per-view event takes place this Sunday night exclusively on the WWE Network from the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. It is currently headlined by a triple threat WWE title match between champion Dean Ambrose, challenger Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Now, Reigns has been out of action for the last 30 days due to him failing WWE's wellness policy. As seen on this past Monday night's episode of Raw and Tuesday's live edition of SmackDown, Dean Ambrose and Rollins fought each other for the WWE Championship and put on one hell of a match. I expect this to be a knock 'em, sock 'em, just go at it, balls to the wall, high-flying, hard-hitting, 30-minute match. And this is a very lengthy card. Including the WWE title match, there are 8 scheduled matches for this card. And we're going to run through them. I'm going to give my quick predictions, and then we're going to get out of here, y'all. Trying to keep this as short, sweet, and to the point as possible. Starting from the bottom and going to the top, Randy Orton, who has been out of action with not only a shoulder injury, he also had neck issues. He's been out for a while now. He's going to be returning. He's going to be appearing on the highlight reel to talk to Chris Jericho about his match with Brock Lesnar at next month's SummerSlam event that takes place in Brooklyn, New York. And that'll probably be on the pre-show. They could save it for the actual show, but I really doubt it. Up next is a tag team match between WWE Women's Champion Charlotte and Dana Brooke taking on Sasha Banks and a mystery opponent. Now, this has been very highly speculated that Bayley will be called up from the NXT roster to the main roster to tag with Banks. Now, Banks has been on social media stating that Bayley would not be her tag team partner. We shall see. I think she will, and I think that Banks and her mystery opponent, or a partner, I should say, Bayley, will go over Brooke and Charlotte. Up next is the first 6-man tag team match of the night. It'll be the New Day versus the Wyatts. The Wyatt family has been getting the better of the New Day as of late. However, the New Day they won on SmackDown this last Tuesday. It seems like they're building up the Wyatt family, but with the draft, as seen, Bray is separated from Strowman, and I don't remember what Rowan went to, what brand he went to, but you do not have Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman on the same brand, and the New Day are still together. And I see the New Day going over in this match. Up next is a United States Championship match between champion Rusev and challenger Zack Ryder. Yes, they have established Ryder as a somewhat of a challenger, but still it's Rusev. They're really pushing this guy, him and Lana, on WWE television. There's no way Ryder gets it done. Rusev retains. Up next is an Intercontinental title match between champion The Miz and challenger Darren Young. Yes, they have been trying to build up Young as a credible challenger, even though he won that Battle Royale a couple weeks ago on the July 4th episode of Raw by just standing there and the other two guys eliminated each other. they're pushing Miz pretty good. It wouldn't surprise me if Young gets the title here as like a surprise, like as an opener. But in my honest opinion, I think Miz retains. Up next is a 6-man tag team match between John Cena, Big Cass, and Enzo Amore taking on the Club, which is AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows. John Cena and AJ Styles was drafted to SmackDown, while Amore and Anderson and Gallows, so I should restate this, Big Cass and Amore, as well as Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, have been going to Raw. I think that Cena... You know what? I'm going to tell you about that pick. I think the Club goes over in this match, and here's why. I think after this pay-per-view, setting up to SummerSlam, I think they do a feud between Kaz and Amore and Anderson and Gallows, and then on SmackDown, they have Cena, Styles going into SummerSlam, and that's what they'll do, and then Cena will get his big win at SummerSlam. Up next is a match I do not give a flying care about, is Natalya and Becky Lynch. Natalya has been getting the better of Lynch on WWE television as of late. Lynch needs her comeback. I give Lynch the win. And then up next, two guys are still going to be on the same brand, but this is supposed to be their final showdown. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I want Owens to get the win in this match very, very badly. I hope he goes and gets into the WWE title picture. But taking the fanboy out of it, I just see a Zayn getting the win. Let the underdog get his big win, and that's how they're going to go with it. Now, the triple threat WWE title match between Ambrose, Rollins, Reigns is going to be very, very interesting to see what they do. Do they keep the championship on Ambrose? Do they put the title on a guy who has held up the brand in 2015 in Rollins, or do they go back to the guy? Remember, he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He is the guy, and the guy who just tested positive for reportedly Adderall. Unfortunately, I really think they put the belt back on Reigns. I really, really do. It's really a toss-up between Rollins and Reigns. They may put the title on Rollins and having Rollins defend against Reigns at SummerSlam or vice versa. But I got to go with Reigns on this one. Unfortunately, I just can't see it. Or they do a rematch between the three stars at SummerSlam. But for whatever reason, I just have this god-awful feeling in my stomach that they're going to put Reigns as WWE Champion. All right, I'm going to wrap this up, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode of the podcast. Let me know what y'all think on the Battleground and UFC picks. And until then, as always, take care.